different
What
kinds.
was the one that you had that was
Black one.
Anybody want a hat?
I gotta get one for my son. Do you have horses in Lambertville?
We do. Not a lot.
Can I get one for Max?
Sorry.
They're gonna go, and I don't want to. Believe me, I'm all about love.
So we're here with Griffin Johnson, who is a content creator.
That's
As
right.
I learned from the video.
Yep.
Not an influencer. Or can you also?
You know, you could say both. I mean, you can group the two together, but I always tell people I just bring people culture and entertainment, and that's my job, is to entertain them.
Because when I heard influencer, I was thinking, is it like the Kardashians where you're famous for being famous? But you weren't famous going in. You had to make yourself famous.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I started at TikTok, you know, it wasn't as cool as it is now either. Same thing, you know, I came into horse racing and didn't have a horse backing at all, but we, you know, were able to create it, and obviously the fans and of horse racing itself have embraced me, so I got pretty lucky.
Well, let's back up. You have connections to this region. You grew up in Illinois.
Yep.
And
Yes.
you were going in nursing school at Indiana University. So just tell us the story from nursing school student to
Okay.
prominent, one of the most, if not the most prominent content creators / influencers.
Yeah, so nursing school, this was 2019, so I would have been a junior, my junior year of college. Someone told me you can make money on the internet, and this was before TikTok was as popular as it was. And so at the time I was working in a steel factory in the summer, would save up money, then I'd go to college and make it last me for the year. So it was coming up on my second semester. I was, 4 or 5 months out from going back to the factory, and someone told me you could make money. So I started posting content, just day-to-day lifestyle, nursing student stuff. Ended up getting a couple 100,000 followers, got invited to move out to LA, and then COVID happened. It kind of aligned perfectly, and the rest is history.
So Terry Finley, who brought you into the 2.5% interest in Sandman through the West Point part of the ownership, he said there's really a lot that goes into this. He said you're quite the astute businessman too. So tell us about some of the stuff behind the scenes. It's not just all fun and games. There's a lot of preparation that goes into this. And do you sort of promote products? Is that how it, in a subtle way?
On a normal, day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
Sort of, I mean, that's how I make my money, is by taking my, audience that I build and bringing them to products, kind of curating culture is what I like to say. But with Terry in West Point, I co-founded a venture capital fund, Animal Capital. And the guy Marshall Sandman, shout out to Marshall, he runs the day-to-day of Animal, and he grew up with Allie Finley, which is Terry and Debbie's daughter-in-law. So got connected through them. He brought me to ABR, and they have their Stake and Stardom program, and we kind of found a deal and came together on Sandman almost a year ago today.
Right. You're not a Griffin come lately. You were in almost right after the horse was purchased.
I think it was like a week after, maybe 5 days. So they brought him back from the sales, and we made a deal within a couple days.
Yeah. And what did they tell you about the horse when you?
Well, they showed me a picture, and I'd never met Terry at the time, but I think anyone that meets him can tell he's a great guy off the rip. So he said, this is a great horse. I think that you guys together could really do something great for the sport. So I said, sign me up. I love to disrupt an industry and bring some people to it. So here we are.
Well, are you kind of like, I was thinking about this when you used the word disruption before, that it's like, is that like good trouble, good disruption?
Yeah, disruption as in, there's obviously some ways that we can bring social media and optimize marketing and, bringing in the next generation to the sport. So, I would say it's disrupting in a way, but in a good way. Definitely nothing bad.
Well, tell us of the different platforms, because you're on virtually all the platforms.
Yeah.
The number of followers you have on.
Yeah, it's funny. So I do have an X and I have a Facebook, but before horse racing, I never used them. So I'm working on my Facebook and my X game, and then primarily TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram.
How much of your time are you currently spending on horse racing versus the rest of your job? And it is a job.
Yeah. I would say the last probably 3 weeks, especially since the Arkansas Derby, I've probably been putting in 80 plus hours a week. I mean, I barely have been sleeping back here at the barns. They start, we start at 6 in the morning usually. And I would say, last night we had a trainer's dinner. I didn't get home till 10 o'clock. And before I fall asleep, it's midnight. So, marketing all of this does take a lot of time and learning. I think a lot of people have been pretty gracious about me being new to the sport. And, I'm back here at the barns every day trying to figure out everything they eat, to grooming, to saddling, wrapping. I mean, you name it. I'm talking to the vets, figuring out, all the levels, everything they check, heart rates, you name it. I'm back here trying to figure it all.
You're not just showing up in the paddock for the race. You are learning literally from
Yeah.
the ground up.
Yeah, this summer I told Mark I'm giving him crap to convince him to let me come do some training this summer. So moving forward, I can really take care of the horses, and I want to be as involved as possible. I think people want to see what's going on back here, and my job for next year is to show them.
What are your takeaways that you would tell the people that don't know anything about horse racing? What would you want them to know?
Yeah, I think every person should just go to one race. It doesn't have to be the Kentucky Derby, and I think that they'll find something that they can appreciate and love about the sport. I'll preach that all day, every day. I think that this sport is the oldest in, the United States history for a reason, and you don't have 151 years of something if there isn't, factors to it that make it that special. So definitely check it out if you haven't.
Have you ever been to the track before this involvement?
Yeah, I've been to the track a few times, especially in Gulfstream. I live close there, so I've been going to Gulfstream for probably 4 years now. But last year was my first Derby. Didn't have a horse there, but I'd just gotten Sandman, and then this is my second Derby, and we're 1 for 1 on horses so far.
Now, how many races have you seen of Sandman's? Because I heard on the Mike Joyce FanDuel TV video that you missed the Arkansas Derby because you couldn't get the travel plans into.
Yeah, I had to be at the hospital on Sunday, so trust me, I was tore up about that for days. Getting into Arkansas, hot springs can be a little hard to get into, so I couldn't swing it. Obviously, it was devastating to me to, I guess good and bad. Watching him win, even from the car, was pretty special, but yeah, I missed it. I've seen some people give me some crap about it. I have nothing to say. I mean, they're right. I missed it. I couldn't be there.
You'll have to get Curtis Cody, the track photographer, to Photoshop you into the
Oh my
winners.
gosh. It's sad because I've supported him at every other race except for the main one. The main shtick, Arkansas Derby, and I wasn't there.
So you were here for the street sets, in which he finished, I want to say third, I think.
Yep.
And
yep.
look who won it that day. You have Sovereignty, who won the Fountain, who's second in the Florida Derby. Tistastic, who won the Louisiana Derby, and
Yep.
then the Arkansas Derby winner, all coming out of that race.
Yeah, there's the East Coast is obviously, the east side here has a lot of great horses in it. He's raced against a bunch of, like you said, Cole Battle was one of them that he's raced a few times, and he's seen a lot of the competition, and I just want him to run a good race and stay healthy. That's my main thing. So
How much handicapping are you getting into with the Derby?
I'm pretty ignorant to it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a very good betting guy, but I will say is I need people to bet. I think that's one of the most impactful ways to get in is, I'm not saying bet the house. I'm saying like $5, $10, $20. Once you put a bet in on a horse, it just makes it that much more special. So yeah, I have a lot of work to do there.
And of course, a popular betting angle for people that aren't sophisticated with wagering is bet the gray. And here
Bet
we
the
are.
gray. That's what they say.
There's it's like well, there's several grays in there. You could box them in the trifecta.
I mean, what I always say is when people are asking me about betting on Sandman, at least you'll have a good horse to look at as he runs around the track. So, but I'm fully confident. I mean, Sandman is, I think everyone can feel how special he is, and I'm just glad to be a part of it, really. I'm just a bystander documenting the journey. I'm his number one fan.
How many posts will you do a day about your experiences here today? I'm guessing you do it all strategically. It's not just us amateurs that just snap and post.
There is a little bit of strategy to it for sure, especially with horse racing, because I didn't have an audience, so I kind of had to create something out of thin air. So a lot of explanation, and I post every day on every platform. I don't really miss a day, so it's at least one post on every single platform, something about Sandman or a horse every day.
Do you know the Metallica guys?
I don't know them personally. They've obviously been super involved with Sandman, and we appreciate that. Supposedly they might come back to the barn one day and we can meet, but we'll see if they end up making it back here or not.
Yeah, they got the concert in Nashville.
In Tennessee, yep. They're going to be in Nashville.
Now they pick up an hour going that way.
I know.
Central Time Zone.
We're going to see if we can get them over here.